Hello guys. So this is the part 2 of our lesson 1. So this video will cover the two other topics, no? So the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004 and the Code of Ethics. So kanina ang sabi ko, I divide it into 3 videos, but since kaya naman pala na 2 videos lang, so this is the second part already and this will be the last part or the last video for our lesson 1. So as a recap, the big picture in focus for ULOa is to define accounting, summarize the evolution of accounting, the salient features of RA 9298, which is the Accountancy Act of 2004, and the Code of Ethics, and explore its role in the business. So basically, again, this video will cover the last 2 topics, which is about the RA 9298, the Accountancy Act of 2004, and the Code of Ethics. Okay, so let us start now. So let us start with putting into picture now how the accountancy profession in the Philippines looks like. So let us start with this, the history of the accountancy profession in the Philippines. On March 17, 1928, the accountancy profession was recognized as a profession in the Philippines. No? Even though it is already practiced since the Spanish period, as the Act number 3105 was approved by the legislature entitled An Act Regulating the Practice of Public Accounting, creating the Board of Accountancy, providing for examination, for the granting of certificates and the registration of certified public accountancy, for the suspension or revocation of certificates, and for other purposes. So this law paved the way for local accountants to do the work which up to that time was performed by foreign accountants in the country. So it was in 1923 when the first CPA licensure examination was held in the Philippines. And there were 43 certified public accountants that time who passed the exam and had rapidly grown to over 100,000 in 1999. And as of today, it doubled its number already. So as you see, my number is in 112,000. So, yung mga bagong CPAs ngayon, nasa mga 130,000 or 150,000 na sila. Kasi every year or every time na merong bagong passers, of course, madadagdag yun sa number of accountants in the Philippines. Of course, lahat-lahat na yun. So, kasama na yung mga namatay na mga CPA. So, what are the characteristics of the accountancy? Why is it, or that field? Why is it, or why does it qualify as a profession? So, accountancy qualifies as a profession because all members are CPAs, or Certified Public Accountants who earned a degree in BS in Accountancy and passed the CPA Licensure Board exam. Another is CPAs have their own body of language, as we have discussed already. Then third, CPAs adhere to the Code of Ethics. So merong Code of Ethics na sinusunod ang mga accountants. And then lastly, CPAs are members of national organization, so which is PICPA. So PICPA stands for the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants. So that is considered as the professional, accredited professional organization of accountants. So tawag dyan APO, Accredited Professional Organization. So here are some CPAs, na notable CPAs in the Philippines. So let's start with William F. Larkins, who was the first CPA holder, no, in the Philippines. Actually, in 1923, no, this William F. Larkins was given the first number in the registry of certified public accountants. So siya, number 1 siya. Then we have Don Vicente Favela, who is the first Filipino CPA in the United States, and he is the founder of Jose Rizal University in 1919. Another notable CPA is Dr. Nicanor Reyes, the founder and the first president of Far Eastern University, started in 1928 as the Institute of Accountancy, which later became the Institute of Accountants, Business and Finance, and then registered as the Far Eastern University in January 31, 1934. Next, we have the first Filipino CPA, no, and one of the 7 original trustees of FEU. She is Belen Enrile Gutierrez. No? So she was the first CPA, no, na babae. And then we have the first and second Filipino Auditor Generals of COA. So that's Commission on Audit. No? We have Jaime Hernandez and Pasiano Dizon. Another notable CPA is a former Speaker of the House of Representatives and former Senator of the Philippines, no? A Filipino tycoon. So we have Manuel Villar, otherwise are commonly known as Manny Villar. So he is also a CPA. So another notable CPA in the Philippines is this Washington CCF. He is the past president of the International Federation of Accountants and the only Asian who has held position, and the founder and the past chairman of SGV and Company. So SGV is CCF Gores Velayo and Company is the one of the biggest accounting firms in the Philippines, even up to this time. Another notable CPA is Jose Jokno, who was a former senator of the Philippines. Then we have Alberto Romulo, also former president of the Philippines and executive secretary. Um, he is also secretary of foreign affairs. Then we have Wenceslao Lagumbay, who is also a former senator of the Philippines. Then we have Andres Soriano, the founder of one of the country's leading conglomerates. We also have Manuel Morales, who is a full-time member of the Monetary Board of Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas during Ramos presidency. He worked, no, or he rendered his service, no, for 41 years in private banking. 21 years were spent as board chair of Manila Banking Corporation and Equitable Bank. He was also a scholar at FEU under the Go Kim Pass Scholarship of Equitable Bank, and at the same time a working student at the same institution. So the increasing complexity of the professional regulation and the development of practice has expanded the Board of Accountancy from 3 members, a president and 2 members. In Act 3105 in 1923, no, it was increased to 6 members. So we have a chairman and 5 members, no, under RA number 5166, also known as the Accountancy Act of 1967. So from there, it was again revised. Now we have the PD number 692 the revised accountancy law in 1975, wherein the number of the members now of the Board of Accountancy is increased already to 6 members plus the chairman. So that no, it has already 7 members in all. So after PD 692, we have RA number 9298, which is also known as the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004. The number of members of the Board of Accountancy is the same, no? 7 pa rin. And take note that as of this moment, no, what is effective is still this 9298 or the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004. But I would like to inform you that no, for this year, there is already a bill no, that is being passed in the Congress, amending again our Philippine accountancy law or the accountancy law no, in the Philippines. So anytime soon, no, the lawyer, our Board of Accountancy are expecting to um, hopefully or hopeful na that this year this law really will be passed na in the Congress or will pass sa Congress and of course eventually be signed into law by our President. So as we discuss later, I'll be pointing out also some changes if in case no, the Philippine or our accountancy law will be revised na. So, kasi for sure you'll be affected with that changes considering that um, changes of that law no, will be implemented when you graduate. So, most probably when you take the board exam no, in the future, you'll be affected already with the changes made in our accountancy law. So, the mandate to supervise, control, and regulate the practice of accountancy with authority and distinction was transferred to the stewardship of the Professional Regulations Commission or PRC. So, BOA now, or the Board of Accountancy, has functioned now to standardize and regulate accounting education. So, that is why BOA has been roaming around the country na to inspect schools, prioritizing those schools na hindi nagpe-perform sa board exam. No? So, they visit the school no, to check kung ano ba ang nangyari, no? Bakit hindi makapasa yung mga graduates ng school, no? Ng isang school, for example. And in conducting examination for registering CPAs, so yung BOA ang may pakana sa mahirap no, na board exam ng CPA. So, sila yung in charge sa paggawa ng questionnaire. So, each of the members of the Board of Accountancy has assigned subject to prepare no, questionnaires for the CPA board exam. They also maintain no, the rules of their practice and has taken the lead in raising the standard of the profession to a very high level of excellence. So, example niyan ay yung in-implement ng Board of Accountancy na accreditation. So, hindi na kagaya noon na kapag ikaw ay pumasa ng board exam, ikaw ay isang CPA, you can automatically sign or certify financial statements. So, hindi na yun ganun. Kasi, for you to be able to practice your profession, you still have to be accredited. So, dapat mag-apply ka muna for accreditation. And of course, it has requirements also to comply. So, this one naman is the Accredited Professional Organization for Accountants in the Philippines. So, this is PICPA, or otherwise known as the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants. So, PICPA is accredited by PRC in 1975 as the bona fide professional organization representing CPAs in the country. So, PICPA is tasked not to also help for the development ng mga CPAs in terms of attendance sa seminars. So PICPA would organize na seminars for the continuing education, no, the professional development of the CPAs in the country. So let us now proceed to the Accountancy Act of 2004. So this is otherwise known as RA 9298, which was signed into law by President Macapagal Arroyo on May 13, 2004. So medyo may edad na, no, or old na rin ang ating accountancy law. So that is why this year, the Board of Accountancy is really pushing, no, na masign into law na ang ating bagong accountancy law. Kasi meron na, they find na that there are provisions in this RA 9298 which are no longer applicable in our current situation. So this law repealed PD number 692, which is the revised accountancy law, enacted on May 5, 1975. So ang tagal na change, no, from 1975 to 2004, and then from 2004 to hopefully 2020 na this year. So what's the scope of the practice of the accountancy profession? So it's stated in section number 4. So there are 4 areas where a CPA can practice his or her profession. First is in the practice of public accountancy. So this is where the CPA will engage or will be offering his or her services to the public, like bookkeeping, taxation, auditing, or consultancy. So that's public accountancy. And as I've mentioned, before you can practice, no, public accounting, you have to be accredited first by the Board of Accountancy. Another is the practice in commerce and industry. So this one naman, this is the area wherein a CPA will be employed in private companies, no, corporation, no, for example. So ang kanilang position may be accountant sila or internal auditor or controller, no? So which is the highest possible position that a CPA can have in a certain company, private na company. Next is the practice in education or academe. So just like us na teaching in the academe, the so-called teachers by accident. Kasi hindi naman talaga kami nag-aral, no, to become teachers, but we are here in the academe. And of course, we are really needed also in the academe. Kasi sino na ang magtuturo, no, sa mga gusto maging CPA na gaya nyo in the future kung walang CPA na gustong magturo in the academe. And then lastly, the practice in government. So ito yung mga CPAs na employed in the government sector. So pwedeng municipal accountant or mga examiners na nasa BIR or mga auditors na mga state auditors na nasa Commission on Audit na. So that's the practice in the government. Now, the Professional Regulatory Board of Accountancy and its composition. So, the BOA, under the supervision and administrative control of PRC, shall composed of a chairman and 6 members. So, 7 silang lahat. So, appointed by the President of the Philippines from the list of 3 recommendees for each position, and ranked by the PRC from the list of 5 nominees for each position, submitted by the Accredited National Professional Organization of CPAs, or the APO, which is PICPA. No? The board shall elect a vice chairman from its members for a term of 1 year. So let us check ano ba yung mga qualifications to become member of the Board of Accountancy. So unang-una, must be a natural-born citizen and resident of the Philippines. So most probably, papasa tayo dyan. No? Check tayo dyan. Pangalawa, must be a duly registered CPA with at least 10 years of work experience in any scope of practice of accountancy. So, parang check din ako dito. Pwede ba akong maging member ng Board of Accountancy? So, let's see. Must be of good moral character and not been convicted. So, hindi naman ako na-convict. So, papasa pa din. Next, number 4, must not have any pecuniary interest, directly or indirectly, in any schools conferring an academic degree necessary for the admission to the public practice. So, dyan ako, X. Kasi, bakit ba hindi po pwedeng maging member ng Board of Accountancy ang isang CPA na merong pecuniary interest or merong direct relationship doon sa mga schools conferring academic degree? Kasi, baka maging bias, no? Baka ang top 1 ay manggaling na sa school kung saan galing yung Board of Accountancy or associated yung Board of Accountancy. So, dapat independent sila kasi sila yung gagawa ng exam. Sila yung magte-test sa mga students, no? Or sa mga graduates ng school kung karapat-dapat bang maging part or i-admit sa profession. Next, must not be a director or officer of APO or accredited professional organization at the time of appointment. So, in this case, dapat hindi siya officer ng PICPA at the time of appointment. Okay, so this one is very interesting to you because you really want to become a certified public accountant. So, for you to become CPA, of course, you have to pass the CPA Licensure examination. So, unang-una, ano ba yung mga qualifications, no, para ikaw ay makapag-exam or magkwa-qualify to become a candidate as a CPA? So, una, must be a Filipino citizen. So, check na kayo dyan. But, take note that because of ASEAN, no, in the amended Accountancy Act, no, in 2020, this might be or there might be changes in this particular requirement. Have a good moral character. Check kayo doon. Ito, a holder of Bachelor of Science in Accountancy conferred by school, college, or institute duly recognized by CHED. So, kayo, you are still in the process of earning your BSA degree. And please be careful, no? Kasi dapat yung school kung saan kayo ay nag-enroll is duly recognized by CHED. So, dapat meron talagang permit, no? From CHED na mag-offer ng ganong klase na kurso. Has not convicted of any criminal offense resulting to moral turpitude. So, yun, no? Ang kulang nyo na lang ay yung third na requirement, or is the degree, no? BSA degree. So, yun na lang. Pwede na kayo maging CPA. So, ano bang scope ng exam, no? Ng CPA board exam. So, noon, there are 7 subjects in the board exam. So, yung theory of accounts, business law and taxation, management services, auditing theory, sorry for the double H, auditing problem, practical accounting 1, practical accounting 2. So, 7 yan, no? There are 7 subjects then. But, so starting May 2016, there was an amendment made by the Board of Accountancy. So, instead of 7 subjects, ginawa na lang 6 subjects, no, sa board exam. So, itong Financial Accounting and Reporting or FAR. Next is yung Advanced Financial Accounting and Reporting or AFAR. Tapos, Management Accounting Services or MAS. Taxation. Regulatory Framework for Business Transactions or RFBT. Then, Auditing. So, di ba, okay na 6 na lang sila. So, 6 na lang sila, pero yung mga topics ay parang ano lang, no? Ganun pa rin doon sa 7 subjects. Ang nangyari lang ay kinondense, no? Pinagsama-sama. Like, for example, noon, yung auditing, 2 subjects yan, no? Auditing theory, tsaka auditing practice. So, ginawa na lang auditing. So, kasama na theory, tsaka practice. Pero it is also good because kung noon, we have to devote 4 days for the board exam. Now, each exam is allotted 3 hours. So, ngayon, instead of 4 days, 3 days na lang. So, bale, 3 days na whole day. No? Tag 3 hours per exam. So, if you may ask, no, ano ba yung paano ba ano ba ang type of exam sa board exam? So, sa board exam, lahat ng questions ay multiple choice, MCQ. So, as of now, MCQ questions yung binibigay ng Board of Accountancy. But there is a proposal, no, na gawing there is a proposal na gawing required type, no, yung comprehensive type na i-require ka, for example, gumawa ng worksheet, no, just like the old times, no, na hindi lang MCQ. Meron ka talagang gagawin na output. Pero for now, MCQ lang ang questions. Like for example, for financial accounting and reporting, this is given, or it has 70 questions. For advanced financial and accounting, advanced financial accounting and reporting, 70 questions din ito. Math, 70 questions. Taxation, 70 questions. Regulatory framework for business transaction, ito 100 questions to. Auditing is 70 questions. No? So, kayang-kaya nyo kasi lahat naman ay MCQ, no? Or multiple choice, lahat ang questions as of this time. So, paano ba pumasa, no, sa board exam? So, ito yung rating of licensure examinations. So, for you to pass the board exam, no, the candidate must obtain a general average of at least 75%. Take note with no grades below 65% in any given subject. So, dapat walang below 65%. Kasi pag meron, hindi ka kaagad makakapasa. Like for example, yung general average mo ay 80. Kaso lang, meron kang isang subject na 62. So kung ganun, hindi ka mako-consider as passed, but you will be considered as conditioned. So you are a conditional examinee. So ano bang mangyayari kapag ikaw ay conditional examinee? So ang mangyayari, you still have to take lahat ng subjects na below 75% ang grade mo. Like example, your general average is already 80%. Kaso lang, meron kang isang subject na below 65. So, ibig sabihin, you look at your ratings in all your subjects, in your 6 subjects. Say, for example, meron ka doong subject, FAR, tsaka auditing. Ang grade mo sa FAR ay, say, 62. Tapos, yung grade mo sa auditing ay 65. So, yung ibang grade mo is more than 75 na. So, that's why you have a general average of 80. Now, since you're considered conditioned, what are you going to do? The next examination, you are going to take up both financial accounting, FAR, and auditing. So, lahat ng subjects na nag-fall below 75, kailangan mong i-retake. If you will pass on that second exam, no, you will be considered passed, and then it is considered also as one examination. No, so for example, binalas ka, no, pag-take mo, nabagsak ka, no? So, hindi ka pa rin nakapasa. So, it's still below 65. So, what will happen is, of course, it will be considered failed in the examination. And it's considered one exam din. So, in the event, no, that the candidate obtains a rating of 75% and above, and at least majority of the subject, he or she shall receive a conditional credit for the subject's pass. So, ito yung in-explain ko na kung ang rating mo ay 75% and above, kaso lang meron kang subject na below 65 yung rating, you are considered a conditioned examinee. So, what will happen? The candidate shall take an examination in the remaining subjects within 2 years na from the preceding exam. So, you are given 2 years in order to take the remaining subjects kung saan ikaw ay bumagsak na. So, in our example kanina, so yung rating mo overall ay 80%. Kaso lang, ang FAR mo 62, tsaka yung auditing mo ay 65. So, yung ibang subjects, 75% and above na. So, you still have to take your FAR and auditing in the next examination. And you are given 2 years para ikaw ay i-take mo or mag-exam ka ulit for that 2 remaining subjects kung saan ay hindi ka nakapasa. So again, pag napasa mo yung dalawang subjects na yun, it's more than 65%, then you will be considered to have passed the examination. So, maging CPA ka na. Pero kung bagsak ka in that particular subjects that you have taken, or yung dalawang subjects na niretake mo, hindi ka pa rin pumasa, then that means that you will be considered as failed in that particular exam. So if the candidate fails to obtain 75% and at least 65% rating of the subjects re-examined, he or she is considered failed in the entire examination. So report of the rating. The board shall submit to the PRC the ratings obtained by the candidates within 10 days after the examination. Failing candidates to take refresher course. So, if fails in 2 complete CPA board exam, the examinee or the candidate must take a refresher course and enroll 24 units of board subjects. So, example, nag-take ka ngayon, first time mo mag-take ng board exam, hindi ka pumasa. Second ka nag-take ng board exam, hindi ka pa rin nakapasa. So, before ka makatake uli ng board exam, kailangan mong mag-enroll muna ng 24 units sa college or any university or any college offering BS in Accountancy. So, hihingi ka ng certification that you have taken 24 units. So, if you have that already, you can again retake, or you can try again, take again the board exam for 2 times na naman. You have another 2 lifelines, para mag-try uli na mag-exam and hopefully makapasa ka. Update, kasi with the new accountancy law, yung sa 2020 na accountancy law, ang proposal kasi doon ay wala ng conditional examinee. So, hindi na uubra yung conditioned examinee. Ang kagandahan lang ay tinanggal na rin nila yung limitation. So, meaning, wala ng refresher course. So, doon sa bagong law, ang proposal is walang conditioned examinee, pero wala na ring refresher course. So meaning, unlimited na makatake ang candidate ng board exam. So kahit ilang beses ka pang mabagsak, basta try ka na lang ng try until you become a CPA, no need ka na mag-enroll ng refresher course. Okay, so pagkatapos mo maging CPA, ikaw naman ay magpapa-member na sa tinatawag na APO or Accredited Professional Organization na ng mga CPAs, which is the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants or PICPA. So it is an integrated national professional organization of CPAs in the Philippines, and it is accredited by BOA and the Professional Regulation Commission. Then let us discuss the different accounting standard setting bodies in the Philippines. So, as we know, in accounting, we are following GAAP, or we term it as Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. So, have you wondered, sino ba yung mga nagpo-formulate ng GAAP na to? So, ito yung mga tinatawag nating Accounting Standard Setting Body. So, in the Philippines, meron tayo nito na Accounting Standards Council. So, itong Accounting Standards Council, this was founded on November 18, 1981 by PICPA. And the purpose, why this was established is to establish and improve the standards that will be generally accepted in the Philippines. So, then it was composed of 8 members, 4 from PICPA, 1 each from SEC, from Central Bank, from PRC, through BOA, and FINEX or the Philippine Executive Institute of the Philippines. So, yan yung accounting standard setting body in the Philippines noon. So, recently, itong ASC ay pinalitan ng tinatawag nating PDP or Financial Reporting Standards Council or FRSC. So, itong FRSC, ito na yung bagong accounting standard setting body that replaces ASC. So, ngayon, yung existing natin na accounting standard setting body ay yung itong FRSC or Financial Reporting Standards Council. So, it is composed of 15 members with a chairman who had been senior accounting practitioner and 14 members from BOA, SEC, BSP, BIR, COA, Accredited Professional Organization of CPAs, and the major organization composed of the preparers and users of FS. Next, we will take up the core competencies framework for accountants. So, this is very applicable to you, because ito yung dapat nyong mag-gain or ma-earn na mga competencies, for you to become a CPA. So, new CPAs need to have core competencies in order to successfully face the challenges of today's changing environment and the future. So, there are 3 core competencies for accountants. The first one is knowledge, second is skills, and the third one is values. So, under knowledge, we have general knowledge. Here, the CPA is expected to gain understanding of the different cultures in the world and developing an international perspective. So that is why in your curriculum included is your competency in English language. There are also subjects that would tackle about adaptability to Western business practices. You're also developed to become trainable individuals and they have good capabilities in dealing with foreign partners. So for organizational and business knowledge, here you are expected to learn or to have knowledge on the different functions, no, or aspects of business like economics, quantitative methods, mga business statistics, organizational behavior, marketing, operations management. So really something that are important, no, in organizational and in running a business. The third important knowledge also is ito, information technology or IT knowledge. So here it is very important that you're able to use no, mga business tools, software, in order to lighten, I would say lighten the load as an accountant, because doing it manually would be very tedious. So you have to apply, no, use appropriate software to help you. Aside from applying some or using some IT tools, should be able also to um, be familiar with the internal controls that are applicable in a computer-based system. Because if, of course, no, if that's computer-based, then um, if something is wrong with the system, it means that everything would be wrong. Your accounting, your recording would also be incorrect, no? Or it will also be misstated. Kasi nga, garbage in the system is equivalent to garbage out also in the system if left undetected. So you also should know what are the internal control measures related to IT. And then lastly, of course, your accounting knowledge. So being an accountant, you should possess proficiency, no, in accounting and auditing standards, in cost management, accounting management, tax laws, mga business and commercial laws related to corporate finance, about capital markets, about professional ethics, and about environmental accounting and reporting. So all of those are included na in your curriculum so that you'll be able to learn those needed knowledge. Next is the skills. For the skills, there are three. One is intellectual skills. Second is interpersonal skills. And the third one is communication skills. So under intellectual skills, no, you are expected to have the ability to carry out abstract logical thinking and understand critical thinking, creative thinking, and generation of ideas, visualization and reasoning skills, or discovery of rules or principles of the underlying relationship between two or more objects and apply it to problem solving. So it's also very important for an accountant to be able to think critically and, of course, to solve problems at hand. Next is the interpersonal skills. So here, you are expected to have the ability to work with groups, be a team player. Now you participate as a member of a team, and of course contribute to the group effort. So you should be able to mingle and blend in very well, no, with your colleagues or your teammates. Then next important skill is the communication skill. So this refers to active listening skills and the ability to communicate effectively both in oral and in writing, because being accountants, it also means that you have to present reports. You do not only write, you don't only prepare reports na written, but as well as you are also expected to present it na orally in with your um, bosses, no, or yung mga superiors natin, or yung top management, no, perhaps. So those that will be needing our reports. And then next would be the values. So this one, so the last core competency was values, no? So that includes professional ethics and moral values. So when you say professional ethics, a professional accountant should act and work in accordance with the highest standard of professionalism to attain the higher level of performance and meet the general public interest. So a CPE needs to conform with vital ethical standards of the profession that includes integrity, objectivity, independence, professional competence, and due care. It also the confidentiality and the professional behavior, those that are mentioned in the Code of Ethics. Then for the moral values, this is the ability of the CPAs, no, to discern between what is morally right and wrong. So what's the role of ethics in business? So ano ba yung ethics, no? So ethics is concerned with right and wrong and how conduct be judged to be good or bad. So when we say business ethics, this tells what is right or wrong in a business situation. Professional ethics tells what is right or wrong regarding a profession. So we have here ethical conflicts which can arise when what might be best for the company is wrong morally or professionally. Also, ethical dilemma may arise, no? And usually business is a very good source of ethical dilemma because of the fact that its primary purpose is to make profit. So most of the time, or if not sometimes, no, business would face ethical dilemma, that is choosing between doing what is right or to earn a profit. So just like what happened to one of the companies in China, wherein they're after of increasing the volume of their product. So what they did is they added melamine as one of the ingredients of their milk. So milk which is to be consumed by infants. So basically that's very wrong because it will really harm the babies, of course. No, but then that particular company really did not able to solve very well, no, their dilemma and really push through, no, in their motive of earning a profit. Being accountants or businessmen, you have always to consider that it's not all about money. It's not all about profit. Money or profit will just come in if you are honest and parang you are good intentions na to the people, because um, if you'll be giving quality products to your customers, they will be coming back to you na and patronize your product. So in that way, no, kahit na pakonti-konti, but still, no, since your customers will be patronizing you from time to time, then that will also be very good for your business. So you have always to remember that money is not everything, and you also have to care for the consuming public. So we also have here ethical financial reporting. So there is also concern, no, related to financial reporting when we talk about ethics. So ethics is especially important in preparing financial reports. It's because users of these reports must depend on the good faith of the people involved in the preparation of the financial statement. So as you know, financial statements would be the basis of decision making by users. So whatever is presented, no, written in that financial reports or financial statements, then those users will be relying to that. So can you just imagine what will happen if mali-mali or um, incorrect, no, or deliberately misstated yung contents ng financial statements. So the users will not be given the reliable information. So therefore, they might jump into decisions which should not supposedly be, no, given the information that are provided to them. So we have here law. No, this is in the U.S., the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which is the most far-reaching attempt to protect investors. So this was in U.S. and this was implemented in response to the many accounting scandals that happened in the U.S. So in this particular act, this is giving or putting accountability to the preparers of the financial statements. So also in the Philippines, we have this Code of Corporate Governance, which is issued by the Securities and Exchange Commissions of the Philippines on April 5, 2002. So this memorandum circular issued by SEC has the intention of protecting the interest of the investors. And then we have this Code of Ethics of Professional Accountants in the Philippines, which was developed by IFAC. So IFAC stands for International Federation of Accountants. So the purpose of Code of Ethics is to enhance the credibility of reports and the relationship among business, government, the investing public, and other users of report. And this was effective starting June 30, 2008. IFAC being an international body representing all the major accountancy bodies across the world, has a mission to develop a high standards of professional accountants and to enhance the quality of the service provided by accountants. So PICPA are obliged to support IFAC and inform all its members in every pronouncements made by IFAC. So we have here the CPA Code of Ethics. So what is this Code of Ethics? So this was approved by the Board of Directors of PICPA and adopted by BOA, approved by PRC as part of the rules and regulation in the practice of the accountancy profession in the Philippines. So a distinguishing mark as a professional accountant whose responsibility is not exclusively to satisfy the needs of client or employer. So enacting the public interest, a professional accountant should observe and comply with ethical requirements of the code because accountants do not serve only their clients or their employers but also the general public. So you always have to consider that you are a certified public accountant. So you have accountability, no, not only to your employer, not only to your client, but to the main or to all of the public, no, the public in general. So the CPA Code of Ethics has three parts. You have first part A. This is the fundamental principles of the professional ethics for professional accountants. Part B, which is the conceptual framework that applies to the professional accountants in public practice. And Part C is the conceptual framework that applies to professional accountants in business. So for this video, no, we will be discussing only Part A, which is the fundamental principles of professional ethics for professional accountants. So the generic code of ethics applicable to all accountants regardless of the area na they're practicing their profession. So we have here the fundamental principles. The first one is integrity. So a CPE should be straightforward and honest in all his or her professional and business relationships. So we have to do this because we want to maintain the credibility of our profession. Second is objectivity. A CPA should not allow bias, conflict of interest, or undue influence of others to override professional or business judgments. So the third one is professional competence and due care. CPA has continuing duty to maintain professional knowledge and skill at the level required by his client or employer based on current developments in practice, legislation, and techniques. So this means that a CPA really has obligation or responsibility to ensure that he or she is updated with the current or applicable accounting standards and all other regulations, no, in the interest of his client or his employer. So it is really recommended for a CPA to still, no, attend to seminars, to conferences, trainings, no, in order to keep abreast of the trends and mga recent developments in the accountancy profession so that they will know what is applicable, no, in the profession or in the practice of their profession. Then we have this confidentiality. So a CPA should respect the confidentiality of information acquired as a result of professional and business relationships and should not disclose any information to third parties without proper and specific authority unless there is a legal or professional right to do disclosure or to disclose such information. So, ibig sabihin, bawal ang chismosa sa CPA because you have to keep all of the files, all of the information about your client confidential. So, that's one of the code of ethics. So, hindi natin pwede i-chismis na itong client na to ay may ganito palang kalaking utang. No? Or, say for example, you happen to audit a bank and then you found out that this particular person has this much of deposit. So, hindi po pwedeng i-divulge mo siya sa other parties. Na? So, you have to keep information that you gathered confidential. No? Kasi that's part of the code of ethics and that's the right thing to do. The next is to have professional behavior. A CPA should comply with relevant laws and regulations and should avoid any action that discredits the profession. So, hindi lang pala technical, no, aspect yung ating kailangang i-maintain, but as well as our good morals. No? We have to maintain um, credibility so as not to discredit the profession. No, we do not want that our profession will be associated with something which is not good. Because again, in our profession, what is very important is the credibility, our credibility, so that other people also would rely na, oh, parang would place reliance also to our reports. Kasi we give credibility to reports prepared by the management. So if ever there's a question of our integrity, for example, there's a question of our professional behavior, then might as well, no, or maybe the consequence of that would be hindi na magiging credible, no? Hindi nakapani-paniwala yung ating mga ginagawa or ang ating report, ang ating pag-certify sa mga financial statements, no, in the eyes of the public. Kasi nga, tayo mismo ay uh, parang hindi credible, na nawala yung integrity or yung credibility mo as a professional. So you have to keep in mind that whatever you do, no, you are acting and you are displaying behaviors that might affect the profession in general or as a whole. So that would be the end of lesson 1. So again, this is already the last part of this video, no, of this lesson 1. So that would be all, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!